this, I do want to cede the floor to Pastor Ababio JB, who is a newly elected leader here in Maryland. Pastor JB, can you hear me?
Yes, please. I can hear you.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, give me one moment. I'm sorry. I think I'm having a connect.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
good.
My thing was glitching. Again, thank you to Pastor JB for joining us, who is, again, congratulations on being elected president-elect of the Council of Ghanaian Pastors and Churches here in the United States. So I want to cede the floor to you, Pastor JB, if you want to give us a prayer. You know, as in our culture, you know, we don't start anything without a word of prayer. And so I just want to thank you again for joining us, Pastor JB, and to please give you the floor to say a prayer, and we'll take it from there.
Amen. Amen. Shall we pray? Almighty Father, we give you all praise. You who, Lord God, through time immemorial, have raised leaders, spiritual, also through political, Father, Lord God, to deliver your people. When we think about Joseph, when we think about Moses, when we think about Nehemiah, when we think about all these people, Lord God, you gave them connection, Father, Lord God, to the political system, and you use it to deliver your people. Therefore, Lord God, even as our own is seeking, Lord God, these offices, I pray for your grace, I pray for your guidance, and above all, Lord God, I pray for your favor to fall upon them. I pray the Lord God, as they call upon us, your people, Father, Lord God, our people, will come together and mobilize behind them. The Lord God, when you raise these voices, you raise them, Lord God, even for Lord, our development. And therefore, may this meeting, Father, Lord God, be to your glory. We bless you and we thank you for this opportunity to come together, Father, Lord, even in this fashion. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
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 Good,
Everybody,
good.
everybody was
Amen.
on mute.
Yes.
I think, Ray, you're on mute.
Oh, look at that. I was talking about everybody being on mute, and I'm on mute myself. Thank you. Thank you, Pastor JB. And just to follow up with that prayer, and then also earlier, Pastor JB, I heard you talking with someone on the call. If you could just share with us, Pastor JB, a little bit about what your thoughts on just, you know, our faith as a verb, as an action word, and the intersectionality with that, with some political action and the need for us to come together for a moment such as this. I know I heard you touch on that a little bit earlier on the call, but if you could just share a little bit more with us on your thoughts on that.
Good, good, good. So, thank God, I've just been elected as I'm the president-elect of the Council of Ghanaian Pastors and Churches. And my simple goal is that we need to mobilize for a great voice and for a greater community care. Unless we mobilize for a voice, we will not be taken serious. Unless we mobilize for a voice, people will pick us up individually. But when they know that we are mobilized and they know that we are together and they know that we have a common voice, then the powers that be, the corridors will respect us. And then we can use that voice to defend and care for our people. So I was telling Loyal Fori, Pastor Loyal Fori, that we need to take these men and women of God that are Ghanaians in the diaspora that are running for offices to our churches and mobilize all of them so that we will elect our own. When God wanted to deliver the Israelites, he used Moses, who he has trained in the corridors of power, to speak to power. We should thank God that our own are also running for election. Two things. Even our own children that are coming up will look up to names that they are familiar with, faces and languages that they can communicate with, and be inspired also for greater things. And also, we will have people who we can speak to about issues in Ghana and so forth, even in the diaspora, affecting us, and they will give us a better audience than others. So it is incumbent on all of us to organize. And to me, that is part of faith. Faith is when you put your belief into action. And so faith is what we are doing. That because we organize, because we expose these candidates to our various churches, to our various communities, we brought them all together and introduce them and we organize behind them, then we can pray that, Lord, the work that we have done, bless it. Faith is not just sitting with your hands behind your thighs and wishing that the Lord will do it on your behalf. Faith is because you believed in God, because we believe that the time has come, that the light of God is shining on us this moment, then we bring our own out. We thank God we have had people who are representing us and are running. Then faith is that we organize behind them and with prayer, calling one another, community organizing, and so forth through the churches, especially introducing them. Then we can pray. And when the Lord's grace and favor is upon us, then we know that we will make that difference and his glory will be seen. So that's what I want to say. Thank you all for coming. Thank you all for spending this time through us as we organize our various communities, organizations, and so we will develop a great voice in these elected officials. And that voice is what will speak on our behalf, will speak on behalf of Ghana, will speak on behalf of our community when the time comes. So I'm so blessed. It is in line with our vision. It is in line with our purpose. And any way and any shape that I can be of any help, please let me know, and we will organize alongside with you. Thank you very much, sir, for this opportunity.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Pastor JB, for those thoughtful words, those words of encouragement. As you said, and as I touched on, faith is a verb. We act on it and we challenge ourselves to be a part of something bigger than ourselves. So thank you so much
Amen.
for sharing that. To all the new friends, I thought I saw some friends joining the call. To all the new friends, again, my name is Ray, and we are here to support three candidates, to listen to three candidates who are running for office. We have Delegate Adrian Boafo, who is running for Congress in Maryland's 5th Congressional District. We will have Delegate Bernice Miracle North, who is running in District 14 on the state level, and Miss Abena McAllister, who is a candidate for the district, Maryland District 28. So again, thank you everyone for joining. Again, for those who were not here when I mentioned earlier, we will go through the order. We'll have the candidates share some thoughts, and then we'll give the floor to them to do so. After that, we will encourage questions. Then you will raise your hand with the hand raising tool here on Zoom, or you can type your questions and we will get to you all. At this time, I will like to introduce someone who not only is a leader in the Ghanaian community here in the United States, but in Ghana as well and around the country. Miss Ajua Chamating has been a friend, a mentor, She has been someone who understands the need to mobilize and to organize, and she founded this organization in an attempt to ensure that Ghanaian voices and the diaspora voices around the United States are heard and participate in the public discourse um, regarding political matters, issues that affect everyone, because, as most may understand, even if you're not engaged or if you're not into politics, politics is into you, as evident. And so I want to give Miss Ajua Chamating a chance to come on and share some thoughts and walk us through GHPAC and what we are here to do. Miss Chamatin, can you hear me? Second. Oh, hold on, I think we're having some connection issues. One moment.
In the moment
While
before
we,
Ajwa, I'm sorry, Ray, you were going to say something?
no, please go ahead.
I was going to say in the interim while we wait for Ajwa to connect, I think there are some connectivity issues. Wanted to ask Pastor Jebi, um, how does he see the faith community, in this election time, but even going towards 2028, candidates early on in the election process and not necessarily, um, you know, as we get closer to election day. If that, I know you gave some remarks, so I just wanted to follow up on those remarks.
Please, your question again. You were cutting out.
My question was, how do you see the faith-based community rallying early around candidates
Mhm.
as they start their campaign versus towards the tail end of the campaign when we're really close to election day?
Okay,
How do you
okay,
foresee the community rallying early?
good, good. Two places that you can find Ghanaians gathering is at funerals and at church. Um, and so when you can effectively use this vehicle, then you can get your messages across. Um, we have the church. Funerals are not very, very organized, but the churches are organized. I believe that if we create the awareness and we give opportunities at this early stage for even the community to know that our own are running, and then we disseminate information through them for other of them to also um, disseminate. The church can actually become a vehicle of mobilization. And as COPAC, that's what we want to do. We want to be a vehicle of mobilizing the church and church members so that we can raise a voice, like I've said. So I think that we need to engage early, very, very early, and use it to spread the message so that those who come to church will spread it to their friends, then their friends will spread. And I think that will be an advantage that we may have over the other candidates that are running. So I'm all in. Later I'll talk to you so that we'll see how best that the church can be organized and mobilized as a tool for empowerment. And to me, this is one of the cleanest and clearest evidence of what the church can do. In a nutshell, that's the answer that I can give.
Thank you.
And also, just to add to that, when the church starts, we can also, through the other communities that we have, contact them, bring them on. I think that the church should be on board fully. GHPAC should be on board fully to help elect our leaders. That's what I wanted to add. Thank you very much. Lofori, please, Pastor Ofori too is here with me. Please, do you want to add anything, please?
Yeah, thank you, Pastor Jerry. I think early start is very, very important because once people are introduced to the candidates in the early stage, they also get very excited. And so they will also be able to campaign to others. I mean, they also be able to, so for example, when I get the flyer for for tonight's events, I mean, I was very, very excited about it. So I started sharing it. And here, Pastor JB assured me that he'll be, at the meeting, this evening. And here he is. So by word of mouth and through the social media, a good start will help spread the good word, and people will be excited. Even if they are not able to come to any of the meetings, the mere fact that someone, a friend, somebody else told them about the candidate, that's more than enough for them to be able to share others, tell others about voting and participating in this exercise, and also contributing, financial contributions to this exercise. And so I think the opportunity is there, the venue is there. We just have to be able to tap into these avenues to make things work. Thank you.
Thank you, Lofori. Thank you, Pastor Ofori. Thank you.
Yeah, I see the Esquire. Thank you so much, Pastor Ofori, and thank you, Pastor JB, for those thoughts. I know earlier we had some technical difficulties, but I do want to give a chance to Miss Ajwa Chermating, as I mentioned, for those who are just joining. Ajwa Chermating is the CEO and founder of GHPAC. She has been a friend. She's a mentor. She's a leader, not just here in the DMV or in the Ghanaian community, but a national leader. She's been involved in very high stakes campaigns in the last several years, and she understands the power of not just mobilizing, but organizing. And so thank you, Ms. Chemating, for putting this together, and I will cede the floor to you.
Okay, and then wanted to get off of mute. Well, first of all, I just want to say hello, family. Good evening. And clap for yourselves for being here. Already, you're taking an important step of not just advocating for these candidates who are going to be our future leaders, but also for yourselves, because these guys that we're talking to today are running for the right reasons. They have impeccable track records. They're recognizable faces. And really, they have their hearts in the right place. And so much of what the good Reverend J.B. Abibio said rings true about how important representation is, because they know our lived experiences. They know what our family values, our values are, and as a community. And so they will represent us at the highest level. I just really want to really reiterate GHPAC's thanks and gratitude to the two reverends that have joined us this evening. And it is so wonderful that our leaders, both on the civic side and in our faith, understand what is at stake. That our communities do need to mobilize in order to protect our futures, also to protect our present. Right now, as you all are well aware, our community is facing numerous challenges here in the United States. And unfortunately, Maryland is no different, even with good leadership on numerous levels. But we have to protect that leadership, right? By making sure that we continue to participate in the civic process and get the right people in those seats. So again, I do want to thank so much the Council of Ghanaian Pastors and Churches, because I know we'll work together very closely. Yes, in the coming days ahead for the June 23rd primary in Maryland, and then subsequently for the general election, but also in the future as we think long term of how do we articulate our values and how do we fight for our values and make sure that we have a thriving community. So again, I want to also thank GHPAC, the volunteers that have been putting so much time and effort so far to support and these candidates. I want to thank the leadership of founding council member Stephanie Arthur for really leading our PAC efforts to support these candidates. Reynolds, Crystal, Andrew, John, and so many others that have really been active in Kim, another founding council member, have been so active in ensuring that we try to get our folks across the finish line. Victory is not an option. In fact, victory is already ordained. Victory is already been laid forth for our candidates. And so we have to do our part. God put them here. Can you imagine? We have 3 well-qualified people who represent us running in every county that we live in. We have Delegate Waffle running for Congress, United States Congress, representing Prince George's County. Hey, where are Ghanaians? Certainly Prince George's. Okay. We have Delegate Bernice Miracle North already been doing the hard work. Oh my gosh, my when I think of Delegate Bernice, a lot of her hard work goes uncelebrated. You know, my goodness, really look her up if you haven't looked her up before. And she's running to re-represent us in Montgomery County. Again, big county for us. And then we have the rising star of Abena McAllister, who will represent us in Charles County. What more can you ask for? This is not by accident that we have such quality running. So I know I've probably said more than I was put on the run of show. But I just want to really just thank everybody for their hard efforts, but also say that the fight is ahead. Today is the first day of early voting, I believe. Or is it registration? Someone correct me. In Maryland. Yes.
Last day to register.
Last day to register. So please, we can't count ourselves out of the game by not even registering, right? So that's part of the thing. That's part of what they do there to make sure that our voices are not counted. They know that we won't keep track of when you're supposed to register. Okay, so yes, register. Make sure that you check your registration status. If you think, oh, I've registered before, just check. It's really easy. We can put the website in the chat for you to check your registration status. And then make sure that with the early voting opportunities so that we don't have work get in the way and all those things. We have these dates on our GHPAC social, on our Instagram, our Facebook, our LinkedIn. So if you're not already following us, Instagram @Ghana Diaspora PAC, and so on and so forth on different socials. Thank you so much. Okay. So I've gotten the note that I think our first candidate for this candidate meet and greet has joined us. The amazing, the fierce, one of my sister gals. Abena, if you could turn on your video so I can properly introduce you. Okay. Oh my gosh. Beautiful as always. Whoever is running the host controls, please pin her. Pin her, please. Okay, so Abena McAllister, and I'm gonna read this because I don't want to miss a single thing on your bio, okay? Abena McAllister, a dedicated public policy advocate, community leader, and candidate for Maryland State Delegate in District 28. Write that down, District 28. Abena currently serves as the Director of Criminal Justice Reform Initiatives for the Charles County State's Attorney's Office. She's a JD, y'all, she earned her JD from David A. Clark School of Law. She has built her career focused on proactive solutions. She's been a community organizer. She started, I remember when she told me all the boards and advisory boards and things that she started. I said, where did you find the time? Because she's also a mom, you guys, and a wife. Okay. And yet she's managed to balance this all and start so many women's advisory committees, advisory committees, black, civil rights initiatives, all in. I don't know how she finds the time, but yes, back to my reading. A proud mother of three and resident of Waldorf, Abena is deeply invested in the future of Southern Maryland. She's the former chairwoman of the Charles County Democratic Party and the former deputy secretary of the Maryland Democratic Party. She's also founder of the Women for Action, Charles County, and a 2022 daily record leading woman under 40 honoree. What I tell you, we're not putting nonsense people up here. I don't know how else to reiterate it. Abena is running to be a fierce champion for educational excellence, economic relief for working families, and strong family-centered policies. Abena, we welcome you this evening.
Jua, thank you so much for that warm welcome. Thank you, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much to GHPAC for all of the work you do organizing for the diaspora. The work that you do is so vital. Putting this forum together is extremely empowering for our community to get out the information. So thank you again. I am truly honored to be here with all of you tonight to share the virtual stage with my great friend, Delegate Bernice, also another great friend, Delegate Bawafo, and I am certainly cheering both of them on. When I look at the mission of GHPAC, it resonates with me because I stand here before you tonight not just as a candidate, but as a proud daughter of the diaspora. My Ghanaian heritage shaped my core values. I remember every summer my dad made me go to Ghana to be sure that I had all of the core values that he was brought up with. And I so appreciate those times and those moments because I truly believe that that is the reason that I am who I am today. So some of those values that drive me every single day, being a mom of three, right, is putting in the hard work, right? Including navigating this complex world that we do live in. I know firsthand what it means to balance the needs of your family, also work and advocate fiercely behind closed doors for your community. And also the demands, right? The demands of our institutions, our jobs, and how to show up with excellence every single time. And that's the type of advocacy and dedication that I plan to bring to the House of Delegates. As Ajwa said, I've served my community for over 13 years as an organizer, as a leader of the Democratic Party, working to get so many people into office for years, also at the state party level. And I sat back and I said, you know what? Now is the time. Now is the time that I need to step forward because my community needs someone that is going to do a little bit more than be behind the scenes in this hour. And so I took that leap of faith. And I got to tell you, I know Prince George's has a lot of members of the diaspora in Montgomery County, but Charles County, we are stepping up. We are stepping up. I looked into the van the other day and I was so excited to see the number of just African names in Charles County, that I could shoot a text message to and tell about our campaign and knock on their doors and meet them at the African markets, the growing markets that we have here in Charles County. I remember for years we only had one, and now we have four. So it's extremely exciting to see more and more members from our community move into the county. So because of that, I need to think about the needs of the members of our community as well as the community at large. So some of the priorities that I plan on taking with me to Annapolis is easing the financial burden on working families, right? So many immigrant families in the district, like many districts across Maryland, are hardworking. They're working hard to build a life, like my dad did when he came to this country back in the 70s, right? To support their children. But then also, as I'm sure many of us can relate to, sending money back home to family members, right? And so I want to focus directly on some of the rising costs and the general cost of living that is squeezing so many household budgets in Southern Maryland, and ensuring that families aren't being unfairly penalized by the skyrocketing electricity and energy bills that we are seeing right now across Southern Maryland and across Maryland as a whole. Also, making sure that we streamline pathways for minority and immigrant entrepreneurs. As I shared earlier, we have a lot more businesses coming to the county, but I want to make sure that we cut through some of that bureaucratic red tape for minority-owned businesses here in the county and in the state, and emphasize creating equitable access to state grants and procurement contracts so that local diaspora businesses can have a direct pipeline in to thrive in District 28, which is in Charles County. Another thing that I think about is how important it is in our community to take care of your parents, right? Or your aging elders. And so making sure that we strengthen the caregiver support network, family structure, multi-generational households. That is the foundation in our Ghanaian community, I'd like to say, so just thinking about the realities of the sandwich generation. I took care of my mom when, she was sick. We don't believe in putting our parents away into homes. That's not something we believe in, right? So I took care of my mom when she got sick before she passed away. And, that's a balancing act, right? Balancing the demands of raising young children while simultaneously caring for your aging parents. So I want to, support policies that provide robust resources for caregivers and expand programs that help our seniors after all of the years that they've worked and toiled in this land to age in place with dignity right at their homes, wherever they choose to age at, whether it be here or, maintain their properties, but then, go back home. Just making sure that all of the investments that they've put in, the time they've put in, they are not taxed out of the wealth that they built. And then last, just making sure that we're investing in the next generation. Education and Professional upward mobility is something that is extremely important to me, and it's a non-negotiable priority for me, for this community. I think of my sister who came here 4 years ago, right? I brought my sister over from Ghana 4 years ago. She has been thriving. She's been doing well, but she has a support system here, right? And I want to make sure that all of our kids have that support system and are invested into when it comes to their education, right? So I'm going to lean heavily into my track record of working with our youth and being proactive, which is currently what I do in my job at the state's attorney's office. And making sure that we modernize our classrooms and infrastructure in our schools, as well as securing special education funding. That is something that is extremely near and dear to my heart because I am a mom of three and one of my children has autism. So I know all of the difficulties that we've had to get access to help. And I want to make sure that I am a conduit for so many families that are trying to navigate these spaces alone. So I am so excited again to be here with all of you tonight. I need you. I can't do this alone. I can't do this alone. When we think about our Ghanaian candidates and just candidates from the diaspora in general, we say we want people that have been invested in the community. We say that we want people that have put the time in, and just to kind of echo what Adjoa said, when we have these candidates that have done that, we need the community to get behind us and to back us. I am so excited to share that, and I'm a first time candidate. So I'm excited to share that within 72 hours after filing, I hadn't even announced, but filing my candidacy, we raised more than $10,000. This is before I announced or anything. People just saw my name on the ballot and started to give. And that to me is a sign that the community believes in the work that we are going to do. They believe in this campaign. They believe that the change that they've been waiting for is on the horizon. And so I am so excited. Our campaign has raised more money than every person in the District 28 seat that is running for this race. I give glory and honor to God for that, because that is no one but God. We've raised more money than the incumbents. We've raised more money than the challengers. That is God. God is going with us. I ask all of you, if you can't give to the campaign, pray for me. Pray for me. Volunteer with the campaign because we need all the help that we can get. Early voting starts on the 11th. We are excited about that. We are looking for poll workers. We are looking for volunteers on election day, which is the 23rd. I'll send Ajua a jot form. Any type of help that you can give me. I am accepting donations. I am accepting prayer, and I need volunteers. So thank you again, Ajua, GHPAC, and all of you for this opportunity to share. I really, really do appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ms. McAllister. For those who have not seen, I have put Ms. Abna's information in the chat. Please visit her website, visit her Act Blue link, donate, 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 share the link, donate, share it to a friend, donate, post it on your Facebook, your WhatsApp. We need you, we need you, we need you. Thank you for your leadership, Ms. Abna McAllister. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for putting yourself in the fire.
I was gonna say, Renault, because she said, "Oh, I'm out fundraising everybody." That doesn't mean you sit on your CDs and pesos and your. Okay, please. All right. We've had candidates lose by just 2 votes. This cannot happen. This will not be her portion. Okay, I rebuke that in Jesus' name. Okay, please. She has her her fund there. We also have GHPAC has a fund that we just started, brand smacking new, called Yeah Leads. Thank you, Kimberlyn. Uh, for Black women in politics. You know, yeah, so named after Santawa. Yes. So we'll put that link also in the chat, and that's to support all of our female candidates moving forward as well. Okay. So over to you, Miss Stephanie Arthur.
Hi, everyone.
Looks like you're frozen.
Can you all hear me?
Now we can.
Perfect. I'm sorry. My internet is a bit choppy, so forgive me. And so Reynolds, back me up if if it goes out again. But good evening, everyone. Thank you all for joining. My name is Stephanie Arthur, and I sit on the founding council of GHPAC, and so happy to have you all here. So I have the honor of introducing our next candidate, Miss Bernice Miracle North, who is a native of Maryland, specifically Montgomery County, and she's a second generation Ghanaian, like most of us. I represent the Bronx Ghanaians here, the second generation Bronx Ghanaians here. She represents them in Maryland. Currently, Bernice sits as the delegate in Maryland State House for District 14, and she's been there since 2023. And so
Uh-oh. Did we lose Stephanie?
Yes, I think if you can finish
Oh
it.
no. That's all right. That's all right. So, for those of you don't know who Delegate Bernice Miracle North is, she is, as she mentioned, she is a Montgomery County native and a second generation Ghanaian immigrant. She has represented Montgomery County's Legislative District 14 in the House of Delegates since 2023. She has a robust legal career as a former law clerk, prosecutor, and a current law firm owner. Delegate Miracle North brings a wealth of lived and professional experience to her roles on the Ways and Means Committee and as chair of the Child Care Subcommittee in the Maryland House of Delegates. During her tenure, she has created a pathway for more school psychologists to begin to work in Maryland public schools. She has secured stable funding for the Therapeutic Child Care Grant, ensuring that children facing significant behavioral challenges receive the care and support they need for healthy development. And she has helped up a lot of families, I believe over 3,700 families, to get access to Maryland's Child Care Scholarship Program. So not only is she a public servant, she is a well-educated woman. Delegate Miracle North has also received honors from school psychologists and advocates for her developmentally disabled for exceptional legislative contributions. So thank you, thank you, thank you, Delegate, for joining us. Delegate, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Reynolds, and thank you to Adjoa, Stephanie, and the crew for inviting me for this opportunity to speak with all of you on Zoom this evening. It's always a pleasure to support GHPAC and their efforts, and I just wish them continued success 10 times over in the future. So wanted to just give a little bit of background as to like my upbringing in Montgomery County. As mentioned, I'm the daughter of Ghanaian immigrants. My mother's from Accra. My dad's from the Kwame Kwao area in the eastern region. And I have a younger brother There you go. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Say countryside. So, and I have a younger brother as well. And we both grew up in Montgomery County. And during my time in Montgomery County, I definitely kind of saw, the have and the have-nots in Montgomery County, and it was very stark difference to me. And I grew up in the have-nots community, but then I ended up going into like magnet programs, gifted and talent programs, where I saw such a how wealth really impacts communities and makes people's lives better. And so fast forward to me becoming a lawyer and a prosecutor, where I was sent to, put the bad people away. I noticed what happens when people don't have the resources because I was witnessing that as a prosecutor, when people are at their wits' end or at their last leg of hope, if there is any. But they end up doing some kind of criminal activity to try to attain that hope, right? Because lack of resources available to not knowing the right way to have success. And so when I got this opportunity to serve in the House of Delegates, it was actually through a special appointment process in Montgomery County. When someone gets elected after an election and they resign from that position, the Democratic Party or the Republican Party, whichever has the choice, to choose of people to choose from, they select someone for the governor to consider to fill the vacancy. And that's what happened in my circumstances, is why I've been appointed since 2023 to serve in the capacity as a House of Delegates. And so this year, on June 23rd, will be the first time that voters actually get to check my name off the box to have me continue to serve for another 4 years. And this is a race is actually going to be competitive because not only am I appointed and have not been voted by the citizens of District 14 for this particular position, there's also there was also an open seat. And so there's three slots for four candidates. And I'm happy to say that I'm the only second generation African immigrant, Black immigrant on the ballot, but I do not take it for granted because diversity means differently to different people. Okay. And so I very much take this race seriously, and I'm very proud of the work I've done in Annapolis in a few years, especially with our youth and dealing with their health concerns. But I don't take it for granted because not every voter knows what's going on in Annapolis. And so a lot of the work that we're doing right now on this campaign is just letting folks know who I am. For those of you that are based in Maryland, we had a technical issue with some of the mail-in ballots that went out that caused a delay in making sure that everyone was ensured a copy of it. But that gave us more time to educate voters before people made their decisions because this is the first week where we've kind of resolved all the issues for the most part, and people are voting in numbers. We have canvassers going out every day. And the good news is that, when people do say they're voting, they say they're voting for me. And so we just got to keep it up and keep up the pace in getting the word out, particularly with our elder communities that might not be mobile as much and they need someone at the doors. They need someone sending mail to them to know who to vote for. It's very critical to have people know who all the candidates are because a name is just a name, but if you don't know the person's background or even knowing the person's energy, some people find it a little bit harder to choose among all the choices available that they're not normally used to picking. And so that's the type of campaign culture I'm in now. Being a Montgomery County native, I do know quite a few people in the area, but my district is quite diverse geographically and culturally. I have, first generation immigrants from Ghana, Sierra Leone, Cameroon, Ethiopia, Latinos, Asians, but then I have, multi-generational farmers that have been around for, two, three generations. And they all are under the umbrella of this district. And so I try my best to make sure I am representing all of their interest. And some I take a little more convincing than others, and that requires a little more time and resources to ensure that they know that I'm the best candidate for the job among the three choices they have this June 23rd election. And so, yeah, a lot of the work that we're doing right now for the campaign is, as I mentioned, canvassing, as well as, raising funds. I literally, before this call, I saw a message from my mail folks who are trying to figure out like mailing and logo placement, things like that. So it's constantly moving things around in terms of getting to the right marketing strategy and right plan to make sure we're effective in communicating to the voters of this district. I feel confident that if people just know what I've done and who I am, they would make the choice, for me. But oftentimes, if they see a name they're not familiar with, they don't know the background, they might gloss over it. And so this, like I said, this campaign is really about just getting the word out about the work we're doing and the work we will continue to do for our youth and for strengthening our communities and really helping out with our economy. It was mentioned about the 3,700 families that be able to get off the waiting list to enter to be eligible for a scholarship program. That's an economic decision as much as it is a family decision because we have so many family daycare providers in our district, that have the house and have the space to care for a few more kids that want to continue earning that additional income. And with the child care scholarship issue that we were facing this past session, the program was frozen because of high demand and not enough resources or structure as to what to do when there is a waiting list. And so we fixed that. And now we're set to have, like, as I mentioned, those 3,700 families be eligible, which means more businesses can have more families into their homes, into their childcare facilities, which increases our worth, our wealth especially among our Black families in the district, and increases our economic potential in the state. So those are all things that, I wish I want to continue doing and definitely need your help to continue on that track. Thank you. One thing
Bernice's link will be in the chat, so please
yes.
support if you can.
And I'll make sure, Stephanie, did I give you my website information? Okay, yes, great. The link and those that want to volunteer, we're planning a big door knocking event this weekend. It'll be like 2 or 3 shifts on Saturday and Sunday. If people are in the DMV area or know people there in DMV area that want to devote just a couple hours of their time, that would be really much appreciated. And it'll be starting after 10 o'clock a.m. Through the rest of the afternoon on Saturday and then the afternoon on Sunday. But the fundraising part is critical because that saves us feet to the doors. And makes it easier to get the word out about the campaign as well. Because the early voting is June 11th, as was mentioned by Abena. So it's just a matter of time that we need to get the word out as soon as possible to voters before then. Thank you.
Bernice, in the interest of time while we wait for our next candidate to arrive, I do have a question.
Yes.
Can you talk to us really briefly about what a delegate does? I know we hear a lot of these roles, a lot of positions, but we don't know if you are voting on the budget or do you have, an opportunity to allocate a certain amount of resources to your county? Like what control do you all have in the role of delegate?
Sure, that's a great question. So our constitutional requirement is to pass a balanced budget. So yes, we control the purse for Maryland, essentially. All the taxes that you are paying, they have to be funding something. And we review the budget and approve it in both the House and the Senate in order for it to actually be a passed balanced budget. That's our constitutional requirement. So if we don't finish within the 90 days allotted for us to serve in General Assembly, there might be a need to extend that time because we have to meet our constitutional mandate to pass a balanced budget. In addition to that, we can introduce legislation, like legislation that we mentioned before with the school psychologist, and is also referencing funding for a therapeutic childcare grant program, which was in part legislative in part appropriated funds, right? Because that particular grant money was being expired for in that particular case. And I was basically making the ask for, $3.7 million annually for a 3-year period when, frankly, we were facing some tough fiscal issues. But my rationale to that was, when we are putting money into the children that need it the most, that's how we save money in the long run because we're taking care of them at their youngest stage so they can have the tools they need to be successful in society. And so those are some of the ways we do work in Annapolis. It's similar to the House of Representatives, but frankly, we're smaller and we bicker less, to tell you the truth. We definitely pride ourselves on having a collegial atmosphere. We might have philosophical differences, but we know that we're Maryland first, and we put that above everything else. There might be a couple people take exception to that, but those are not the majority. And we're very fortunate to be in a state where we can have our differences and still support each other. I mean, for example, the Child Care Scholarship Program bill that I worked on particularly, that was a bipartisan effort. The school psychologist bill that passed this year, also a bipartisan effort. Because some things you just don't need to bicker by party about because it's about taking care of our kids. And that's something I really press on my colleagues to understand. And I'm thankful they received that. And so, yeah, it's a mixture of balancing the budget and introducing any legislative ideas. Now, in terms of what we do to bring back money home to the district, that's in the realm of passing a balanced budget. I serve with 2 other delegates and a state senator. Every legislative district pretty much has that ratio, with exception of maybe 1 or 2. And so my senator, Senator Craig Zucker, he's actually chair of the Capital Budget Subcommittee, and so a lot of the which essentially means any buildings, anything on land that the people are trying to build up, improve that need state dollars, it goes through him, and so a lot of the work that we do is in that space, but we also help out with our community needs. Like, for instance, there was a community organization in our district that just needed help getting off the ground. So we fought for some operating money, which is different from the capital money. We fought for some operating funds to be part of the budget as well. One recent thing we did in response to the nonsense going on in Washington under the Trump administration was to address those that have been impacted by the Trump administration losing their jobs. A lot of them in my district work for USAID and other agencies and that end up losing their job. And so what we did was listen to their concerns. A lot of them wanted to start their own businesses. So we allocated about like $150,000 for those that want to start their own business, that are foreign federal employees, to have their business filing fee waived as just as a starting point. And I'm hoping we can do even more for our former federal government employees to make sure they can achieve their next chapter, particularly with those that were fired by that were let go because of the shutdown with USAID. So that's kind of a couple examples on how we try to bring money back to the district and work on focusing on balanced budget as well as producing pieces of legislation that we feel will improve Marylander lives.
Stephanie Anim.
Evening, everyone. Thanks so much for joining. My name is Stephanie Yanka, and I'm a member of Finding Council, and I have the pleasure of introducing Adrian Goffo. Let me make sure that I read his bio so I don't miss anything. Adrian is a proud and lifelong Marylander, but his story first began far from Bowie. Adrian's parents immigrated from Ghana to the United States, determined to get an education and build a better future. They met in the U.S. and eventually settled in Prince George's County, where Adrian was raised. It was that community who taught him the importance of faith, determination, and fighting for what is right. He will share more on his personal story. His pledge is simple: to make Maryland a place where families can afford to live with dignity, where seniors can count on their Social Security and Medicare, and where newcomers like his family once were are welcomed and not feared. Adrian knows we need leaders who are deeply rooted in the communities we serve. So we are so happy to have a voice such as his. With no further ado, I pass it on to Mr. Adrian Boafo.
Well, Stephanie, thank you for that introduction. We've definitely got to take you on the road because that was pretty good. Thank you. And let me just give a special shout out to my colleague, Delegate Bernice Murphy North. When I got elected, I became the first Ghanaian to serve in the state house. I remember saying, I'm going to be the only one up here. And shortly after that, Bernice gets appointed. And now there's two of us here. She will, as you can tell, I'm running for Congress. She will soon be the only one there. But her work on Ways and Means, her work fighting for, working families throughout the state has just been good. And the other thing I'll say about Bernice is extraordinarily passionate. Right. There's a lot of folks in this business who are just going through the motions, and her story as a mother, the stuff she's done on gun violence. As you can tell, I'm just a fan, and we need to do everything we can to get her reelected to the House of Delegates. Because while I'm going to tell you a lot about why the federal level is important, having folks like Bernice at the state level is great. So it's good to see my friend Delegate Murphy North, and then soon to be Delegate Miss McAllister. Abina and I have known each other for way, way too long, so I won't get into the whole story of how we know each other. But she's going to be critically important to us in Maryland's 5th congressional district because, frankly, she represents Charles County, which is the southern region, and will be replacing, hopefully, me as a Ghanaian in the southern Maryland region in the House of Delegates. And so, Abina, I'm glad that you're on here. And again, in another competitive race here in Maryland's 5th. And so we got to do everything we can to deliver a victory for Abina as well. It's good to be with y'all, family. I will try not to talk that much. I know a lot of folks on this call, but I want to just tell you about where we are today. I tell folks this has been one of the most surreal experiences of my life. There's something special about this country when a son of immigrants from Ghana, West Africa, who really came here, like I'm pretty sure a lot of folks on this call really came here in the pursuit of the American dream, right? The country and the nation that a lot of our ancestors looked to, the beacon on the hill, America, the great shining city on the hill. And we've seen what this president has done over quite literally 2 years, if it's even been that long, probably a year and some change. Like how he has not just ruined America's standing in the world, but how he has also made all of us feel day to day. I just drove from DC and drove past the White House where I saw a UFC ring in the back of the White House. And meanwhile, the American economy continues to crash. This guy is the most unserious president in American history. And frankly, the reason why I'm running is because I believe it's time for a new generation of leadership in Washington. As Stephanie just mentioned, I was born and raised here in Prince George's County. As y'all know, my immigrant parents wanted me to either be a doctor or a lawyer. Those were my two options. I did neither of them. I failed at both. But frankly, I was inspired by the federal workers I grew up around. People who woke up every single day here in Maryland and in Prince George's County, just trying to do their small part to make America better. Right? They woke up every day and they either went to the VA or they worked at the IRS or they worked at DOD. Just again, civil servants who were passionate about some level of work. And we've seen the attacks with them over the last year. In this district, there are 85,000 federal workers, many of whom have been laid off because of Elon Musk and Donald Trump. I'm 32. I'm the youngest person in this congressional race. And for the first time in American history, young people are worse off than they've ever been before. It is frankly my generation that's in the position to be worse off economically, socially, and become more isolated than any other generation in American history. And people ask, why aren't people believing in America anymore? Because while all of this is going on, Donald Trump and his cronies have made more of an effort to make themselves richer, to make themselves safer, to make themselves more prosperous, and turn their back on the American people. I first got into politics in 2016. It was a great time to be a Democrat. We thought Hillary Clinton was going to be president of the country. We were so excited, full of hope. And I was working on the Hill at the time while getting my MBA at night. And then I caught this bug to serve. As a lot of folks on this call know, I ran for city council here in Bowie's 3rd councilmatic district. And I ran against the establishment. There was no reason for me to win that race. But frankly, I tell this story a lot. It was about 7:45, right before the polls were about to close. We thought we would lose the election, but I really was running because I wanted my ideas for the city of Bowie to be out there, the vision that I had for the community that I have lived in so long. I wanted it to be out there in the world. And what happened was around 7:45, 8 o'clock at night, as the polls were closing, all you saw was a bunch of African aunties and uncles standing in line. And I remember turning to my campaign manager at the time and I said, who are they here to vote for, you think? And we walked through the line and we talked to a lot of the families, and they were there excited and saw the last name and said, you know what, we've got your back. I won that election by 48 votes. I then ran for state delegate in Maryland because what I saw during the pandemic as the mayor pro tem of the city, the vice mayor of the city of Bowie, was an attack in a way we had not seen by the Trump administration, ignoring public health facts. The pandemic, people forget the pandemic hit Prince George's County outside of New York City. It was one of the second hardest areas that were hit by the pandemic. All the seniors that I spoke to during the last election who, called me their son or their grandson or whatever the case may be, were no longer around. And it was because of a failure at the time of state government under our former governor. And so I said, you know what, I'm going to run for state delegate, try to do my small part to make Maryland better. And I ran in the field against 10 people. I was not endorsed by any elected officials. But again, I said, you know what, I'm going to put my visions out there, and I hope that my community responds to it in a positive way. And if I lose, I hope that people hear my vision for my state and take those ideas to Annapolis. And because of a lot of folks on this call, we won that race. And now we are here at another pivotal point in American history, another pivotal point in Maryland's history, where the decisions we make at the federal government will have tremendous consequences for generations to come. There are far too many people in America right now who can't afford rent. They can't afford a home. They can't afford gas prices. I just drove to DC and came back and I had to fill up my tank. They can't afford gas prices. The good news is that these are man-made crises, and we know how to solve the problem. The bad news is that Donald Trump is going to be president for 2 more years. And it's so critically important that we start electing people to the Congress of the United States who understand how to solve issues for the American people. Look, I'm a faithful Democrat, and I believe that our community can do 2 things. I think Democrats can fight like hell on their values and the things that they believe are important and stand up to Donald Trump. But we also have to get back to the basics of solving issues for people. We got to figure out the healthcare crisis in America. We've got to move to a system that is more fair for everybody in the country. We've got to solve the crisis when it comes to housing, something that I've been working on in Annapolis, trying to make sure that Wall Street homes can't buy up single family homes and outprice people out of the market. We've got to raise the minimum wage, something I've also worked on in Annapolis, because it's so critically important that while we talk about lowering the cost for the American people, that we also put more money in their pocket as well. And then we've got to rebuild democracy. The reality is that there are too many people who, again, are walking around in America and just not believing that their vote matters. And we're seeing the largest assault on the Voting Rights Act since its inception happening in the South. So we have 21 days till the election, 9 days till early vote. We are feeling really good as a campaign. I'll give a sneak preview here. I think there's an independent poll coming out tomorrow that has us leading by 7 points. But anybody who knows me knows that we do not take things like this for granted. We put our head down and we work because that's what we do as Ghanaians. That's what we do as Africans. That's what's in our nature to do, to just go through the tough times and continue to fight for what we believe in. I want to end by talking about faith. I grew up Catholic. I'm a cradle Catholic for anyone who understands what that term means. But my faith has been at the center of all the things that I have done. Frankly, I would not be in this position if it wasn't for a higher power. There's no way that somebody like me should be in the position that I'm in but it's because of the grace of God that I'm here in this position. And so, what I ask all of y'all to do, and I tell everybody that I see in my district, no matter what faith you are, continue to pray for our campaign, continue to pray for me, but let's also pray for a better day in America. Because the truth is, these issues are so vast and so large, and it's going to require a true community of folks coming together to actually solve the problems that we have in this country. The last thing I'll say, and then I'll open it up here, is, in 2022, we made history by electing Wes Moore, the first African American governor of our state, the third in the country, who's endorsed our campaign, by the way. We elected Angela Alsobrooks in 2024 as the first African American woman to serve in the United States Senate, also has endorsed our campaign. And in 2026, we have the opportunity to make history in a lot of ways. We can elect the second Ghanaian American to serve in the Congress of the United States. We can elect the youngest person of color to ever serve in Maryland, and the youngest person to ever serve in Maryland since Reconstruction. And people ask, why do you say Reconstruction? Why is that moment so important? Because I don't think we have ever faced a moment until now, since the Reconstruction era, where America is at a breaking point, where our systems are at a breaking point. And it's so important that we send, again, representatives to Washington who understand that, but also are of a new generation of leadership. So I'll end by just thanking GHPAC for everything you guys have been doing over the last couple of years for me. Without you guys, I would not be in this position. And let's go out there and win this thing in 21 days. Thank you, guys.
I hope you guys are fired up and ready to go. That I still like that phrase, oh, I really do. I still like that phrase. But we can add the Ghanaian sauce to it. We are Vin and ready to go. Please, someone translate it in Tree for me. I've not been doing our language classes. Someone, please. But the point is, I think I hope you heard what Adrian has said, right? About the historic moment that we have in front of us. This is not the election to sit at home. In fact, if you haven't registered, please, I think maybe you have a couple minutes to still register today or tell your friends. But we're not expecting you to come onto this, Zoom and then be like, okay, it's great, and leave. No, no, no. Put to work, oh, let's go to work. Let's go to work. This is what I said to Delegate Adrian, soon to be Congressman Adrian. I said, we will not let you fail. Okay? Victory is already prescribed. Okay? What other opportunity do we have like this? I don't know if you really heard Stephanie really talk about all the credentials of Adrian. But what hasn't he done? What hasn't he done? He knows the ins and outs of how to fight for people in this challenging moment. He made national news with the Icebreaker Act. So before everyone was saying, what do we do about ICE? What do we do about ICE? This man stood and said, I have a solution. I have an idea. And put pen to paper and moved quickly, very, very quickly. We listen, there's a lot of people who are running in this race, and we actually know several of them, okay? Familiar faces. And I mean this with all the love and respect as possible, but we don't need just activists, okay? We need policymakers, people who get things done. Everybody we have endorsed on this call are people who have a track record of getting things done. Delegate Bernice, you didn't hear me just wax on and off about you because you weren't on yet. I said, this lady. And it's not because her daughter is also Ajwa, but she's also, Ajwa is with her everywhere she's going, because Delegate Bernice does not tire. Charlie, I remember I tried to follow her once and walk around. No, no, no. She does not tire. Adrian, we've been following Adrian for years. This is not his, Johnny come lately, like a lot of candidates in this race. This is not carpet bagging. He knows the district through and through. He knows the ins and outs. He knows everybody there. Okay, because he didn't just start yesterday. So this goes even back from when he was working in Steny Hoyer's office, where he had to have his hand in constituent services and heard all of the complaints and all of the phone calls and all of these things back then. He's not new to this. He's true to this. So anyway, I know I'm probably messing up the run of show, but I mean, I'm saying to him, like, listen, we, what? This man will win June 23rd. He has to win. The community has to win June 23rd and then win again in the general election in November. Okay, please. All right. I beg of you. I'll come and cook jollof for all of you people. It's not that bad, I promise you. You will not be on the toilet. I will come and cook for you. And Kantekwine, put in your orders right now. If you show proof you've gone to vote, I will come to your house. Okay? I'm not playing with this guy. All right. So, what is it? Reynolds, Stephanie, what's on the a Q&A, right? Okay, so we'll open up to Q&A.
Yes, to all the friends on the call, if you have a question, as I said earlier, please raise your hand. If you would like to type out your question in the chat, you're welcome to do so. But we have three incredible, and I can't say it enough, incredible candidates who have taken this role of leadership, and we are here to support them. And so for those who may not understand what they are doing or what they plan to do, please ask your questions, and I'm sure they are happy to answer any and all questions you may have.
You can put your questions in the chat or use the raise hand function.
If I may, I would love to because I didn't get to speak on this just now. If Adrian, you've just recently made an announcement. You stepped in to help a family, an immigrant family. Could you tell us a little bit about exactly what you did with this act, the Ruri Act? I don't want to mispronounce their name. Could you share a little bit more about that?
Yeah, you got it right. It's called the Don't You Worry Act because of the Worry family. I just told the story a little bit earlier about standing in that line in 2019 during my first election. And there was a young couple, the Worry family, as I got to know them, very active, civically engaged, very prominent Muslim African family here in Prince George's County. And they went on a lifelong pilgrimage. That was a dream for them, the pilgrimage to Hajj, which I'm pretty sure a lot of folks on this call know how grueling of a trip that can be. But they worked for the travel agency, and that travel agency duped them out of not just their money, but everything that they said that they were going to give to them. This also happened to be the hottest year in Saudi Arabia's history. And so what happened is they landed. They had no supplies, no food as they were promised, no reasonable accommodations, and them and the hundreds of other families died from a heat stroke. And so, what we did in Maryland is we know that there are businesses that come online and start travel agencies, take money from folks, and then disappear in the middle of the night. And so we created what is now a national model. And I have to really give a shout out to my staff because there really isn't a lot of regulations like this that exist in law. So we had to come up with what we thought was best. But we passed the Don't You Worry Act. And as Bernice knows, this was the second year it came up in Annapolis, and she's a proud supporter of the bill. Unfortunately, some of our colleagues did not support that bill, but that's for a conversation for another day. So the bill essentially creates a registry through the Department of Labor to make sure that any travel agency operating in the state of Maryland is paying a $300 registration fee, is now on that registry and also shows a level of proof of liability insurance as well. And so especially as travel season is coming up, people can go online to the Department of Labor starting October of this year and see which are legit travel operators in the state and which ones are not.
That's excellent. I think Mr. Ofori, Lawyer Ofori, thank you, Adrian, for that. I think Lawyer Ofori has a question.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I just want to congratulate all of you for the hard work that you've already put in in your campaigns and really running for these offices. Now, my question is, I mean, how we can continue to help you all in reaching out, because I know that reaching out and spreading the word is one thing. Some of us may not be able to come to your campaign offices, but at least we can spread the word to our social groups, our organizations, the churches, and all that. So my question is, how easily are you available? For example, if there's a church gathering, if there's some social gathering that we can reach out to and say, well, can you may pop in, maybe either in person or maybe via Zoom virtually for a few minutes just to introduce yourself. Because the more people see you in the community, the more they also get excited and they are able to tell others. Because when I got the GHPAC invitation today, I sent it out to others, and immediately, even while on the while at this meeting, I called one of my friends in Charles County. I said, please, there is Abina who I heard briefly. She graduated from my alma mater, David A. Clark Law School, and so I'm excited to get to meet her. I called one of them in Charles County. I said, well, you got to come on and try to help Abina in her campaign and in support her. And she really came on. You know, she's really joined us. So I'm excited, you know, to spread the word. And so your availability also matters. So that's my question to all of you.
Bernice, you want to go first?
Yeah, so thank you, Mr. Foy. You have just always been a staunch champion of us Ghanaians in politics. So just thank you for your leadership. That's been consistent and faithful for all of us. Yeah, whenever there's an opportunity to visit a church service, church activity, I'm there as long as I hear about it. I was one thing about being a delegate versus any other higher office is just the staffing, the capacity. So if you text me or WhatsApp me, I will find out. But sometimes through like the email, it might get lost in the shuffle and it takes a little bit longer to respond. But I put my WhatsApp in there, Instagram in there. If you let me know, I will plug in the calendar and do my best to be there. Between now and the election, I know think I'm going to probably these two community events that I got invited to, even though it's early voting, because I feel it's important to continue to get the word out and people get excited. But to your point on that topic on getting the word out and telling folks and coming to church service, I went to one church service, this is years ago, when I first ran for office. And, I gave my spiel as to why I wanted to run. And this particular day was early voting day. And I can't tell you, and then after I went to the service, I went to the early voting site to be stationed there. And I saw those same church folks coming to early vote because they're like, well, I might as well go after church. So if anything, that Sunday, the first Sunday between the early voting period, which I believe might be I don't want to misquote the date, but it is probably the 14th, something like that. But nevertheless, that Sunday is a prime day for us to visit churches because that's going to be triggering them to say, well, I might as well go ahead and vote now. Or I might as well tell my friend now on WhatsApp and the like to go vote that day while they have a little bit of time. And the one thing about early voting, you can vote anywhere in the county that you live in. And so you don't have to go to your nearby voting location. And whether you go to church take Montgomery County, for example. If you go to church in Gaithersburg, me, myself, go to church in Gaithersburg, and I'm a Silver Spring resident, I can still early vote in Gaithersburg and my vote will count. And so that's really the power of having these community events and going to them, because that excites people and gets them to act immediately.
Did someone else want to take that question quickly, and then we move on to another question?
Sure, I'll jump in. I am available as well. I can put my email in the chat. Just shoot me an email. I'd be happy to join virtually or in person. Thank you, Mr. Forey, as well for spreading the word. If you have any friends in Charles County, please share my information. Let them know that I'm running. Thank you, guys.
So I have a question. I guess this question is for Adrienne. And so we're a few days shy of the primary. What's going to matter in terms of voter support in these last few days? I mean, outside of money, and we know turnout is going to be important, but like, what would you like to see the community do um, that you think is going to, make the difference on election day?
Yeah, there's a lot of things. The first thing, as you know, is we have to be able to communicate to voters, and hopefully everyone's seeing our TV ads in the DC media market. But it costs a lot of money to get those TV ads in circulation, and so I know the same for Abina and Bernice. We've got to communicate to voters. And what I've learned, even through this process of running in a congressional district this big, is frankly, a lot of voters, especially in this tough time, are not paying attention to politics. In fact, people are shying away from politics because of all that's happening. And so we've got to do our part, especially in these primaries where Maryland's a primary state, to communicate to voters who necessarily aren't at the community events, who necessarily are, heads down and focused on taking care of their families. We've got to meet them where they are, which is in their homes and on digital and on TV. So that's the first thing. The second thing that's really big for our campaign is, again, we represent 5 counties here in Maryland's 5th congressional district, all of Charles County, all of Calvert County, all of St. Mary's County, about half of Prince George's County, and then Southern Anne Arundel County. And so having people at the polls are going to be extremely important. Bernice just mentioned that in every county you can vote anywhere you want to, which is great for democracy, a headache for our campaign because we got to cover 5 counties and all the polls in all those counties. And so people who are willing to volunteer and do that kind of stuff, that's going to be helpful. And the last piece, because we're at the point of the campaign where we're just focused on talking to voters, there's not much strategy left outside of getting our people to turn out, getting our people to vote. And the last important piece is making phone calls and knocking doors. I think I saw the link floating around in the chat somewhere here, but we want regular people talking to regular voters. And telling them about our vision for the country and our vision for how we're going to move Maryland forward. And so those are kind of the best ways you can really help us out at this point in time. The money is always a great thing, especially there's no such thing as a low dollar donation. Every dollar will actually count. Making sure that we have people at early vote and on election day at the polls, and then making sure that people are actually volunteering.
I would love for you all to talk, each one of you, to talk about what differentiates you all from your point of view. This has been a somewhat of a common question, particularly in light of a primary where it's, pretty much everyone from the same party, right? But how would you differentiate yourself? What would be what you would say that everyone here should write down? Because we have our own opinions, okay? But what would you say? We should say when we're talking to our neighbors and friends and loved ones about why Adrian, why Bernice, why Abena.
Oh, I guess I'm on me, I'll go first. Um, well, my lived experiences really distinguishes me, and I feel like any space that I enter into, it's really to serve the community and provide them with that knowledge so we can make better decisions for all the people in the community. I'm a former prosecutor, a mom, and being a daughter of African immigrants, as opposed to other immigrant populations, is a very unique experience because it distinguishes me not just understanding the immigrant experience, but the Black experience as well, which in my race is super critical. Currently, we have two Black delegates out of the three. But the second Black delegate is retiring. And I'm the only one. I'm the only one in an area that is culturally diverse. And so I think that is something that people really have to pay attention to when they come out to vote, because of the backgrounds that I bring to the table. I said, as a prosecutor, as a daughter of African immigrants, as a Black mom, a public school student. I carry those experiences with me when decisions are made about the budget, when decisions are made about who gets the benefit to improve their businesses. Can't tell you the number of times I'm in the room and I'm the only one who looks like me when we're talking about economic development policy. That's what we do on Ways and Means. We focus on ways to build revenue. And oftentimes those conversations don't have people look like me in the room. And I want to continue to be that voice and to carry the experiences of those similarly situated to me in Annapolis in those rooms. Ways and Means is a privilege to be on. I hope to continue to be on there because it is something I was not expecting as a former prosecutor. I thought I was going to be in judiciary, but I get to find out how to build communities through economic empowerment and how to make sure that, particularly with our students, we're creating the right educational policies to improve their lives. And I'm going to segue to, I'm going to bump this to Doug Waffle as a segue to him, but he introduced legislation that was a great piece of legislation, truly an effort, a collaborative effort on banning the use of cell phones in schools. It had been a multi-year complaint. In my I guess 4 sessions, we have had this concern every single year. And this is like probably TMI behind the scenes, but it was Delegate Waffle's bill that carried the day because it dealt with the issues and it was really reflective of everyone's different perspectives on it. That we were like, yeah, this is the bill we have to go with to really address the problem. And so I gotta be in that space to really confirm that, and to say that because of the experience of being a mom of a public school student, that's why, we have to continue to support folks like me and get I'm in there as well and Adrian in Congress just to make sure that we are having people support our communities with the people that reflect their lived experiences.
Well, thank you, Bernice. Your check is in the mail. I appreciate that shout out. I think I'm running in a 24-way primary, and I think by and large, a lot of the people are, again, by and large, well-meaning Democrats. We just have different tactics in how we go about solving issues. I think the first differentiation is my youth. I said that a little earlier, I think we all can look at the Congress and say we need young people to serve in the Congress, and we need people of different backgrounds to serve in the Congress. There used to be a joke that Steny Hoyer would say. He said, if you look on the House floor, you look to the right, it looks like America's most expensive and exclusive country club. And if you look to the left, it looks like the mosaic of America. The reality and the truth is that mosaic is also getting older, and we need to make sure that we have some fresh blood in the Congress. The second thing is my experience. I tell folks I've had a 360 view of Washington. I've been in the private sector and seeing how Washington works. I've been the state delegate fighting the Trump administration and also trying to work with Congress to deliver results for our community. I've been the mayor pro tem of the city of Bowie during a pandemic, advocating and pleading to Washington to get us resources. And I've been the staffer in the building for many years who understands the good, the bad, and the ugly of how the place functions. And so it's really important that we have somebody with a 360 experience, coupled with the youth that I bring to the race that can actually go to Washington and be effective. And the last thing that I think is unique to everyone on this call, Congress has one unique thing that I've never got to do as a state legislator, which is foreign policy. right? Every foreign policy decision, no matter what this president says and no matter how he acts, must come through the Congress of the United States. And for too long, we have had voices in Congress who don't understand that the decisions that are made in Washington will affect people thousands of miles away that frankly none of them will ever see or get to know. And so it's really important that, especially when we think about our community and we think about how Africa has not been talked about as a holistic conversation in the foreign policy space, yet is the fastest growing population in the world economy. And the United States is left out of the conversation. Not, I don't think because of intentionality, to be honest. I think because of ignorance. They just don't know what they don't know. And what we need are more voices that look like myself's and Congressman Amos in the Congress that can say it is critical for America's national security in the future, but also critical to continue to help Africa right now, today, because frankly, our adversaries in China and in other areas are investing heavily, and that's going to have a long-term effect for the country. But that perspective, I think, is really important as well.
In my specific area, District 28, I am running for an open seat. But just to kind of give you an idea of some of the long-term incumbents I have, sorry, you know what? That leads me to my first point. I am the only mom in the race with school-age children. Some of the long-term incumbents, they all have adult children. So I think that gives me a unique perspective. My kids go to public schools. So I feel the exact same squeeze as many of the working families do, the families that are sending their kids to public schools. So I think I have a unique perspective there. But I honestly think what truly sets me apart is that I'm a proactive builder. Right. I'm on the ground right now. I've been on the ground for over 12 years in the district through my work directing criminal justice reform initiatives. So I don't just advocate for policy, right? I've been designing it, I've been implementing it in Charles County with programs like the chronic absenteeism termination program that I created for the state's attorney's office, as well as the Future Legal Minds program that I built because I saw a gap in our community and took immediate action. So I plan to bring that same urgent hands-on problem solving to Annapolis. And I think that's what sets me apart.
I have a quick question for you all because your jurisdictions are so diverse. How do you lean into your identity as a first gen, as a Ghanaian American, but also be appealable to the diverse populations in your district, right? If I'm white, if I'm Latino, how do I confidently feel like you can represent my interest?
Thank you for that question, Stephanie. As referenced, I have a very vastly diverse district. I'm not a child of farmers, but I have quite a few of them. And so I took it upon myself to just meet them where they are. That's really the key. Everyone just wants to be heard, especially when it comes to government services. And so meeting them where they are really breaks down this uh, mysterious veil that sometimes people kind of create when they don't know someone. And that's why door knocking and having people meet us face to face is so important. Going to events is so important because when they look at the names, to be honest, and look at the names, they're gonna say, I don't know you. I heard a lot. I just saw my staff today say, oh yeah, some people say I don't know you, and in my mind I'm like, okay, looking at the name, they're not quite sure of me. So I have to make the extra effort to go back in the community, reintroduce myself, and break down this mysterious wall that people might feel like they need to put up, because they're not familiar with my background. And I still do my best to bring an element of myself to the doors. Today, for instance, I went door knocking in this African dress I had on with a big old hat, and I was surprised that people were just very friendly towards me today. Usually I'm in t-shirt and jeans, but today I just said, you know what? I just feel like expressing myself. And when people feel like you're presenting to them authentically, they will trust you more. And so that's how you break down the differences among in my experience, differences among different cultures and how you get them to support you.
Do you want to go? Nope. I'll let you go. Go ahead.
Thank you. In my community, you know, I I've really tried to do a great job of making sure that I brought my Ghanaian culture in every space that I've been in. You know, I am one of the co-founders of the Charles County Juneteenth Foundation. And so when we're talking about holding our first event in 2019, I said, hey, we need to have African dancers, real African dancers, you know, authentic African dancers. And so I had some Ghanaian dancers come and they talked about, you know, our culture, our history, but they also talked about, you know, how we connect, and how we are more alike than different. And so just doing things like that, down through the years, I've seen has helped to connect me to the community, um, and allow me to share a bit of our culture with the broader community in Charles County.
I would steal both of your answers, but that wouldn't be proper. So let me, because I think you guys just summarized it so well. But you know what I've learned in running in this district, and again, this district is I jokingly say it's America in miniature, from the southern part of St. Mary's County to the very suburban, affluent parts of Charles County and Prince George's County. It is unique. By the rural nature, by the suburban nature, by sometimes the small city nature. This district is just, I think, probably the most unique district in Maryland, for sure. But what I've learned is that there's a shared common interest in the issues we face. No matter if you're the white mom from Lexington Park or you're the African American woman in Bowie, Maryland, if you can't again afford anything in life, it doesn't really matter, right? What I've learned is that the issues that we are all plagued with cut across racial lines, they cut across age groups, and folks are really in the depths of the struggle right now. And so, what I've been focused on in this race is just continuing to articulate my vision for how we solve those issues. And what I realize is that folks are going to be prejudiced no matter what. And as we know, as the African community, prejudice doesn't necessarily come just because of skin color, right? There are even some folks of our own community that can be prejudiced towards people with the funny last name or the funny accent or whatever the case may be. And so what I've just tried to do is keep my head above the fray and make sure that we talk about issues and how we're going to solve them, how I've done them in Maryland, currently in Annapolis, and how we'll do them in Washington. And what you'll find, and what clearly our poll results are finding, are that people are receptive to leaders who are going to actually try to solve issues right now, not necessarily continue to further divide the country.
We have one final question from the chat, and I'll give it a read. If you can share your positions on AI data centers and any regulatory policy to support and/or plan to sponsor.
Yeah, I'll take that one. Bernice and I just passed and voted for the Utility Relief Act, and here's kind of the key provisions of what that bill does. One, it makes sure that ratepayers in Maryland will never have to subsidize a data center that comes to the state. Two, it makes sure that there's a public repository to ensure that as data centers are even being proposed in the state, that you can actually see where they're coming, and that's so important, especially as local jurisdictions are starting to sign these NDAs and negotiate behind closed doors when it comes to data centers. The third thing that it does is it makes sure that there's a new standard for data centers, and particularly for Maryland, the energy standards around water and making sure that there are closed loophole water systems at these data centers are actually really important. I can't talk for everyone else on the call, but I think that here's my positioning. The reality is that we want to win the AI war with China, and we've got to be focused on that. But data centers, and here's where I think there's some federal legislation that needs to happen. The data center coming online, we've done what we have to do in Maryland. Frankly, it's now going to be up to state and local governments on if they want to accept data centers in their community, and have those conversations with their constituents. We're seeing this happening in Calvert County where they're not having those conversations publicly with their constituents. So the state has done what it needs to do. Here's where I think the federal government needs to come in. When a data center comes online in Virginia, or comes online in Ohio, or comes online in Pennsylvania, it still will have a net effect in Maryland, because we're part of a 12-state interconnection system called PJM that essentially says all of our grids are connected. And so what we need to do, what the federal government needs to do in particular, is pass what I think is a 12-state bill. I don't think we can do this across the country because grid operators are different across the country, but a 12-state interconnection bill that says what we did in Maryland should be federal law, so that we're protecting all constituents across the board, so that data centers truly are transparent and public, and that communities get to actually really be at the center of the conversation when deciding if they even want them in their community as well.
Thank you so much for that. And I believe we have John Forson has the last.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm really happy to be here. Now, I think to all of you, I don't know, this question has been already answered, but I'm a pastor with a church. I have members, in my church, of course, from, the African, West African members to be precise. And we all know what is going on in the country right now, immigration. Some of my members are very, afraid, of course. I wanted to find out from you if our members in my church, Americans who will be voting, I believe, in the coming up elections, what do you want me to tell them? What can you do if you get there, especially Adrian, probably in the national level, if you get there? What should they expect? What should I tell them to calm them? I don't know whether my question is clear, but I want to hear from you. What should I tell them to minimize the apprehensions? What can you do at local level, if any, and national level, if any, to help them out? Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you, Pastor, for that question. And, I've got to give a big shout out to my colleagues in Annapolis at the House delegation level. We have done, and Bernice can attest to this, some fantastic, fantastic work around protecting Marylanders from this administration. Now, Pastor, here's what I would say you can tell your congregants. One, even if they can't vote, they can still volunteer, they can still knock doors, they can still be a part of the political process. And by the way, as a country, one of the things I know I'm going to fight hard for is making sure that we have a federal framework when it comes to citizenship, so that it's a clear pathway, a fast pathway for anybody who wants to be an American citizen, because we've been talking about this issue longer than I've been alive, and yet there's no actual pathway for citizenship that's clear in America. So that's the first thing. Even if you can't vote, you still have, in my opinion, a responsibility to be somewhat involved in the country that you're a part of. That's one. The second thing I think folks can do is, this November, we have the best shot at taking our country back. And what I mean by that is we can cut Donald Trump's presidency in half in November. And he knows it, which is why he's traveling across the country trying to gerrymander America, and did not think Democrats were going to respond in kind. In fact, in the House here in Annapolis, under our new speaker, one of the first things we did is that we took on the redistricting bill, and unfortunately, it died in the Senate. We should tell Senate President Bill Ferguson to get that thing passed so that we can go to an 8-0 map. But the reality is that we do have a chance. I think a lot of people in 2024, unfortunately, thought, Kamala has it in the bag. I'm going to disengage from this. I'm not going to be a part of this. And we saw what happened. We cannot make the same mistake twice in a row by allowing Donald Trump to maintain the House of Representatives and to retain the Senate. If we cut his presidency in half and elect a new generation of folks to Washington, we will at least be able to do two things. We'll be able to hold this president and his cronies accountable. There will not be a day in the House where House Democrats are in charge, where a cabinet official isn't subpoenaed and sitting there and answering questions. But number two, we can get back to the basics again, as I said earlier, about solving issues for people and actually signaling to the country where Democrats' values actually stand. And so I think there's great hope and optimism on the horizon. It's part of why I'm running for Congress. I just think there's so much hope and possibility in our country, but it's going to require everybody to be involved. No matter if you can vote or you can't vote, this is an opportunity to lower the apprehension, to lower the temperature in the country, and really move things forward.
And just to add what's happened at the local level, we successfully got Maryland out of ICE by ending the 287G agreements in this state. This was a multi-year effort because we tried to get it done last year, and literally at 11:50 p.m., 10 minutes before we were done with session for the year, that was not the case. And I can tell you that that was a thorn on my side, where I went to all the churches and told them this is what was happening. And I made a declaration that I'm going to do everything I can within my power to make sure this doesn't happen again. And you just need passionate leaders like that at the local level to make sure we're doing everything we can at the state level to protect our communities from ICE. And not only did we successfully get us out of the 287G agreements, where we're not cooperating with ICE, we went even further regarding face masking for ICE agents. Questions as to whether what one's immigration status is no longer acceptable in Maryland. There were several things we did to kind of lay the foundation of how we treat those in the system that happen to be immigrants, make sure that they're not being taken advantage of by ICE through our local sheriff departments and other local law enforcement. And, you know, a lot of the law enforcement didn't like what we did. But as I've pointed out, even as a former prosecutor, I was supportive of any agreement with ICE because that, in fact, is a tool for public safety. And I always felt that way, and I still feel that way. And I was proud to vote for that bill and also co-sponsor the bill to end our relationship with ICE. We're doing everything we can within our power. Now, the federal level is really can get these substantial changes, but rest assured, you need folks at the local level to do everything we can until the necessary changes done at the federal level. So both levels of government are important to protect our African communities from ICE.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Delegate Bernice, for that answer. Thank you to all the electeds and soon to be electeds or re-elected, to soon to be Congressman Adrian Boafo, current Delegate Adrian Boafo. Thank you so much for joining the call. Thank you to Delegate Bernice Merkel North again for your time, and to all the friends who joined, Miss McAllister, Miss Edna McAllister as well. Thank you for joining. To all the friends that joined, please, please, please spread the word, share the word, sign up to volunteer, donate, reach out to their campaigns, spread it on your WhatsApp groups, your Instagram groups, your text message chains, your aunties, uncles, everyone you know in Maryland, to please, please get engaged. We are so invested and want to make sure that these candidates succeed, that Mr. Waffle is elected to Congress, that Delegate Merkel North is re-elected, or elected in this case, to the House of Delegates, and Ms. Abna McAllister is also elected as well. Note, June 23rd is primary day, so we have, what, 21 days? We have 3 weeks to get engaged, to get involved. Please, please make sure that you are, again, signing up, donating. They need volunteers. So if you have nieces and nephews, you yourself, your wife, your husband, your siblings, send them my way, send them to the campaign's way. Please have them to get engaged. We're doing phone banking on June 16th and 18th. So please touch base with GHPAC. Let's all get engaged. And please, please, please support these candidates. They can't do anything without our help. And so with that, I will turn it to Ms. Carter Kim. But again, thank you everyone for joining, and thank you to the candidates for their time for tonight. Kim?
Hi, everyone. I hope you can hear me. This has been an amazing evening. A few of my team members came on earlier, and they all want to move to Maryland to be represented by such amazing and excellent leaders. I'm here to just speak briefly with you about our new initiative. In 1972, the ancestor Shirley Chisholm, the first Black woman in Congress and the first Black woman to run for president in this country, said, "At present, our country needs women's idealism and determination, perhaps more in politics than anywhere else." And even today, um, Mrs. Chisholm's words ring true. Why? Because politics is connected to policy, and policy is connected to our collective pains and possibilities. And what we know for certain is this, that when we place women in positions of power, very specifically elected and governing power, that the types of policies that they support, the types of policies that they sponsor and legislate impact not only our families and our communities on a state level, but that positive policy actually begins to go beyond just the borders of a district, of a state, and it impacts us across this nation. And so that is why you have been hearing about our new initiative, our new fund called the Yah Leads Fund, named for Yah Asantewa. We know that this administration is at war with Black women. So naming this initiative after a queen mother, after a queen warrior, is most appropriate for such a time as this. We know Ghanaian women and diasporan women embody the spirit that we need in these spaces of power. We need women, very specifically Ghanaian women, very specifically diasporan women, very specifically second and third generation immigrant women at every seat and every table of power. That doesn't happen overnight. It requires support. It requires work. And so we know that this initiative, that this fund is not only um, innovative, it's not only a necessity, but it is the beginning of a significant footprint that we place in the annals of American politics to say that we will not be unseen, we will not be unheard, but we will be represented and we will be a part of this new democracy that we are radically imagining. And so, what I need you to understand is this, is that Black women navigate very distinct and challenge scapes in political fundraising. But Black women, once again, are our most dependable voting demographic in this nation, albeit the world. But our voices and our presence matched with our presence in the ballot box, our presence in the voting domains. And large donors, unfortunately, when it comes to Black women, represent only 1% of all of the money that's contributed to campaigns for Black women and women of color. So we have to change that. We have to bridge that gap. We have to be the motivators of a new mindset of how we show up for Black women politically. So, what is our goal? Our goal is governing. Of course, the tactic is winning. The strategy is designing innovative and winning campaigns. Of course, our function is to recruit, train, and support more Ghanaian women, more diaspora women, placing a demand on power across this nation, making sure that we are.
Oh no, she was preaching, honey.
No, so I'm sorry.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
you're back.
I just came back from Ghana, so I think my computer is a little jet lagged too. But I just want to make sure that you understand the three things that we need to happen for you to join us at this exceptional time as this, where over 500,000 Black women have been unemployed by this administration, where every day we see attacks against Black women, and very specifically, immigrant Black women, not only in this country, but even globally. For such a time as this, we need y'all leads. And so, how do you become a part of this movement? Yes, a part of this movement. And that is, we need you to commit to becoming a founding funder. We need you to get to and asking more Ghanaian women, more diasporan women to run for office. And last but not least, we need you to commit to becoming either a messenger or a bundler. A messenger means that you tell everybody that you know about y'all leads. A bundler means that you take on the responsibility of saying, I will bundle funds. I will call all of my friends. I will call everyone that I know and tell them to donate to this effort. I can't thank you enough for your time, your love, and your commitment, not only for this country, this nation, for, of course, our beautiful home, Ghana, but for Black women. So thank you so much, Steffi. Thank you so much, Ajwa, for giving me this brief moment in time to talk about our new fund. Thank you so much, everyone. Madasi.
I think Ghana internet is impacting us all, even in the States. Sorry, oh. Please, yo, before you leave, just take note of all the links in the chat. I know there's a lot of links, but we're having phone banking for Adrian, June 16th and 18th. That link is there. We have the YA leads. After that, hey, call to action from our dear sister Kimberlyn. You have to support this. You have to support the women, right? And then, moreover, we just want to just thank you all for joining us this evening. Those who've come late, this whole thing was live streamed on our YouTube channel, so don't fret if you say, "Oh, I missed part of it." This, please, we'll send the link. Since you registered, most likely to come into here, we'll send the link for you to watch the live stream. And if you have any follow-up questions, please be sure to email us at info@GhanaDiasporaPAC.org. Stephanie Arthur.
Yes. Thank you, everyone, for attending.
Okay, oh, thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a good night. Bye.
Good night, everyone. God bless. Take care.
Thank you, Delegate Bernice.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye.
Listen, this internet is destined to embarrass me. You understand me?
OMG, name. I'm so sorry. What's going on?
I mean, it's my streaming. I don't know what is
Now it's
happening.
perfect, right?
Now
Right?
it's
Of course.
perfect. The devil is a liar.
A liar indeed.
Indeed. It was a
Well
good
done.
Ray.
Reynolds, you did such a great job.
You know,
And
we tapping you for everything now.
I mean,
I'm
Ray, we
like
tapping you.
dualizing. I'm like dual attention. Something came up,
but
but I hope.
Oh, my
Hi,
pretty
friend.
Crystal.
Hey, friend. Where is he? Let me see you.
What's up,
Hello. How are
He's such a
you?
good
You
Oh,
should
he's
moderate the
so
conversation
cute.
next time. Please
I'm on
save
mute
me.
because you can keep at it. But y'all killed it for real. Y'all killed it. So
Nice job, guys.
Yep.
Did a great job, Reynolds.
Oh, well,
Great job.
I hope so.
Oh, yes. You adjusted. You moved through very smoothly. Where you at, Crystal, on Americans campus?
No, good God, no. I'm just at my uncle's house visiting.
Oh, okay.
Tell your uncle to donate and volunteer.
Yeah,
Yes, please. Yes, please. I will.
Sorry, of course I have it.
You guys did
Bragging.
fantastic. Hey, beautiful. Oh, boy.
One more
All right,
drop
y'all.
off the call.
nephew.
Congrats, everybody.
Have a good
Congrats,
night.
take
And,
care.
we'll do this again and we'll do
Definitely.
Hey,
it.
Miss Stephanie, please. My media people, please. I'm gonna send you the link to the spreadsheet.
Oh. Okay, yes, I forgot. All right. Take care. Bye, everyone.
Talon Tiger.
All right, guys.
All right.
Yeah, say bye-bye.
Bye, friend.
Say bye.